Well, I came across this video the other day by Richard Dolan, and it's called The Truth About UFO Crash Retrievals. Richard Dolan, Intelligent Disclosure. And he feeds us the old Roswell story. You know, there was a crash in July, 4th or 5th, whatever it was. There was unusual materials found. He then goes on to say that he thinks Bob Lazar is genuine, and then that Philip Corso's book deserves another look. He might have been a bit, quick to judge. Poor old Colonel Corso. Now he's tending to believe what Colonel Corso said. Now, gone are the days when Richard Dolan was worth listening to. What his idea of truth is, unfortunately, nothing like the truth. I left a comment. I'll show you the comment I left, if I can, on under this video. I'll leave a link to this video. Is it going to come up with the comments? Yes, here we are. Steve Mumbling. There we are. There's me. Just open that up so we can see the whole comment. And I say, well, the truth is there isn't one scrap of tangible evidence that any alien technology or biology has been recovered by anyone at all. Alien technology would be beyond our imagination, exotic synthetic low-mass materials, etc., 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 exotic propulsion. Bottom line is, they're not going to come here and crash. We certainly couldn't bring one down. It's just science fiction nonsense. I then go on to say, this kills the Roswell story stone dead. And I'll leave this link here to Mac Brazel's statement. Now, Mac Brazel, you may recall, is the guy that actually found the Roswell debris. If we go there, we can see that what Mac Brazel actually found was he found some unusual wreckage on the 14th of June, so nothing to do with any kind of crash in July. He didn't worry about examining it too closely. It was so unimpressive. 3 weeks later, he mentioned it to the sheriff because he heard there was a reward for anyone finding a flying saucer, and he thought he'd try his luck, basically. Now, what Brazel found was here we go. So when this paragraph here. When the debris was gathered up, the tinfoil, paper, tape and sticks made a bundle about 3 feet long, 7 or 8 inches thick, while the rubber made a bundle about 18 or 20 inches long and about 8 inches thick. In all, he estimated the entire lot would have weighed about 5 pounds. Now, that's what Brazel found in his field. That is the Roswell wreckage. Tinfoil, paper, tape, balsa wood sticks. Does that sound like an alien spacecraft to you? Okay, so I think this statement kills the Roswell story stone dead. Okay, that's the first thing. I then go on to say, if Brazel had been got at, of course, why didn't he just, people say, he's been got at, Steve, he's been got at, he's towing the government line. Well, no, he's not. He's saying, he's not saying he saw a weather balloon. All he had to do was say, yeah, okay, I saw a weather balloon. There you go. Done, dusted, new business. That's not what he said. So, I think this is a true and factual account of what he found. Certainly not an alien spacecraft. Kills the Roswell story stone dead. Okay, now, I then go on to say Bob Lazar is an obvious fraud. Why doesn't he just produce his original bachelor and master certificates and his master's thesis? These would have the university that issued them and the signatures of the academics that signed them off written all over them. So remember, Bob Lazar says he works on reverse engineering flying saucers, and he's got these academic qualifications in physics and electrical engineering, whatever it was, I can't remember now exactly what he said. But I've just noticed, look at that. Shall I go and ask Richard why he's blocked me from his channel? because if you go to that video, you won't see this comment below his video. Now, I think it'd be worth asking Richard Dolan why he doesn't want people to see my comment and to read Mac Brazel's statement, and to consider asking him, or anyone else that interviews Bob Lazar, to produce his original qualifications. Now, Bob Lazar was working as a developing photos. I think he had a photo developing lab, if that's the right word. It's probably a room in his house where he's developing photographs. That's what he was doing for a living. And then Edward Teller asked him to go and reverse engineer an alien spacecraft. Really? Okay. So I think put a line through Bob Lazar is an obvious fraud unless he produces these qualifications. Again, why is Richard Dolan not interested in asking Bob Lazar to produce his qualifications, to validate at least some of his story? That would at least validate his academic background. But he doesn't want you to see that question. He doesn't want you to see that statement. He doesn't want you to think about Lazar's qualifications. Remember, he doesn't want you to read Mac Brazel's statement, the guy that found the Roswell debris. And when it comes to Colonel Corso, I think Senator Thurmond, Colonel Corso wrote his memoirs, his military memoirs. He showed them to Thurmond, who said, yeah, happy to write a foreword for that. When he took the book to the publisher said, you're going to sell 2 copies, both to your mother. But I see you were at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, do you know anything about the Roswell story? And Corso probably said, I've got no idea what you're talking about. And the publisher said, well, that's a shame, because, if you did, if you could say you were involved in the retrieval of the Roswell alien spacecraft and you saw bodies and all that, it will be a bestseller and you will make a lot of money. And he rewrote it. He kept the original foreword by Senator Thurmond. When Senator Thurmond saw it, he went, this is not the book I wrote the foreword for. I want that retracted. Now, I've actually got an early copy with Senator Thurmond writing, with Senator Thurmond's foreword in it. But anyway, I think you can forget all about Richard Dolan, to be perfectly honest. If you're a Dolan fan, Richard Dolan fan, ask yourself why. Richard Dolan, come down. No, that's the wrong way. So here we are. Steve Mumbling. Go to this video. I'll leave a link to his video. The Truth About Alien UFO Crash Retrievals. And this is on the Richard Dolan channel. Why doesn't Richard Dolan want you to read my comment? If you go there, you won't see my comment. He doesn't want you to read anything that might put a bit of doubt in your mind. And better still, show you that there is absolutely nothing whatsoever to any of this. And I think Richard's not a dummy, I mean, Richard is a pretty smart guy. He must know that Mac Brazel's statement kills the Roswell story. He must know that not asking Bob Lazar to produce his qualifications is just so that he can interview him and as though the story is real, and even support it. Tell us all that he thinks Bob Lazar's story is real. And the reason Richard does this is it keeps him on YouTube, it keeps him on the talk circuit. I think he sells some books, he publishes books on UFOs, although to his credit he didn't publish William Tompkins' book, which was just drivel. So there you are. The truth about UFO crash retrievals you will not find on the Richard Dolan channel, because the truth about UFO crash retrievals is there are none. There are no UFO crash retrievals, because UFOs, alien spacecraft, do not come here and crash. It's as simple as that. Just put a line through it, and it's very, very disappointing actually to see Richard Dolan taking this path. I always thought Richard Dolan was a serious investigator, but for him to not let people see that comment I left on his channel, give him an alternative opinion, point out a couple of glaringly obvious facts, He's obviously, he's consciously doing that for a reason. And the reason is he wants his followers to keep following, keep believing all this bloody nonsense about UFO crash retrievals. And disclosure, intelligent disclosure, you know. Because if the truth became accepted by everybody, the real truth, that no alien spacecraft has ever came here and crashed. Nobody has any recovered alien spacecraft. No one has any alien. No one's recovered any alien bodies. That's the truth. And if people start believing that, you know, most people do believe that, but people that are actually interested in this subject and look at it and do try and find out what's really going on, if they start swinging in the direction of, wait a minute, you know, Brazel found balsa wood sticks and rubber bands and all that, that's not an alien spacecraft, is it? You know, Lazar hasn't actually got any of these qualifications, and he was developing photographs. Why is he going to be back engineering an alien spacecraft? What year did Einstein die? Was it after 1947? If it was, why wasn't Einstein doing Lazar's job? You know, it's obvious that there is nothing to this. But Richard doesn't want you to accept that. He wants you to believe there is something to this science fiction nonsense, because it keeps him and quite a few others in business. Keeps them on the talk circuit, keeps the books going, keeps the YouTube videos going, DVDs, etc, etc, etc. Don't believe it. I would like there to be something to it, but the more I look into it, the more I realise there is nothing to it. So there you go. Be interesting to see if Richard complains about this video. That would be quite telling in itself, wouldn't it? All right, well, I hope that gave you something to think about. Don't swallow all this bloody nonsense you see on the internet and on YouTube about the truth about UFO crash retrievals, because the truth is there are none. And if you look at it and you don't cherry pick, I think Richard actually mentions in here something about people cherry picking information. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's cherry-picking information. He's ignoring a simple statement from Mac Brazel that tells you that Roswell's nothing to it. He's ignoring the fact that Lazar won't produce his qualifications, and he can't name any of his lectures, if I recall correctly, either. He's an obvious fraud. Same with Colonel Corso. It's all ridiculous nonsense, yet is supported by Richard Dolan. And the only reason that can be I don't honestly believe Richard believes it. I think he's smart enough to know there's nothing to it. So what he's doing is conning you. He's telling you that there's something to it, because it keeps his face on YouTube, and it keeps him standing on the pulpit in front of the adoring crowds. And it probably flogs a book or two. Okay, have a think about that one. Maybe I'll catch you again.